Here's Kristin Kingsbury. Thank you.
Thank you. So, last week I was getting ready for my day, and I step out of my shower, and the next cognitive thought I had was several minutes later, and I'm brushing out my hair. And I thought to myself, where did the time go just in the last 2 minutes? Have you ever noticed that we have a habitual, ritualistic way of getting ready in the morning? And you probably do it close to exactly the same every single day. I've been doing that for 22 years. Because I didn't really shower all that much when I was a teenager. So, this is what I do. You can look at the macro of, yeah, I do things pretty much the same every day as I get ready for my day. And then you can break it down to even like micro tasks. So this is what I do. I turn off the shower, I step out, I put a bathrobe on, I whip my hair up in a turban, I shut the shower curtain, I brush my teeth, and then I take my towel off and brush out my hair. I skipped right to brushing my hair, and like, how did I get there? It's all habit. And as I'm brushing out my hair, I look behind, and sure enough, the shower curtain was pulled shut. I don't remember doing that. Have you ever noticed that? Have you ever like driven from point A to point B and you don't remember anything about the drive?
Yeah, every day.
Sometimes that's kind of scary to think about, yet we're all alive, so far so good. How about non-habit things about life? Do we use habit in other things in how we approach our life? What about our conversations with people? Or how about how you solve a problem? Or how, oh, I have a paper to write. How am I going to do that? How am I going to choose my career? Is habit laced in all of that? So who am I? I'm Kristin Kingsbury, and I am a business litigation attorney with the best law firm on this side of the Mississippi, Bassford Remley. We resolve disputes. Small ones, medium-sized ones, large ones. If it could go to court, we'll help solve the problem, and hopefully before it gets to that point. Because problems grow into disputes, which grow into litigation. We try to keep it on the small end of the scale. But that's not what I'm here to talk to you about today. I'm here to talk to you about something I'm very passionate about, and that is breaking habitual living and living in a completely different way. I'm not an expert in this stuff. These are ideas that have just been handed down to me from other human beings that aren't necessarily lawyers. In fact, most of them aren't. And it has really enriched my business, my personal life, and that's what I want to share with you today. 6 ideas that if you were to even just consider them for a minute, would it change your life? Would it change how you do that one thing? Would it change that one relationship? Would it change how you practice law? So, are you ready? Yep. 6 ideas. So the first idea I want to share with you is I'd like you to consider that some of our habitual living comes from events that happened early on in life. And we keep playing that over and over and over again. My first event I want to share with you happened when I was 4, and it involved Mary Ravioli. That's not her real name, because this is going to be on TV. Mary Ravioli was a preschool teacher who was taking the summer off, and she lived 3 doors down. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, and it was the 1970s. And it was a hot summer day, so we were going to go down and spend the afternoon on the patio at Mary Ravioli's house. Mary Ravioli, like any good person in the 70s, had an olive-colored bowl filled with Cracker Jacks. And I was 4, and I was very carefully picking out all the peanuts from the Cracker Jacks and popping them in my mouth. Mary Ravioli had something to say about that. She said, "Kristin, we don't pick the peanuts out of the Cracker Jacks. We take a handful of Cracker Jacks and we eat what is in our hand." I'm a little embarrassed to say that this is one of the epic events in my past that shapes how I live my life today. What happened next was I burst into tears and I ran home and I hid under the bed. And I can tell you exactly what was going on in my head. Why didn't I know that? Why didn't someone tell me that? I had no idea that that was wrong. Why is my mom not standing up for me? Why is she just standing there smiling? I'm like, oh my gosh. And I ran home and I hid under that bed. And guess what? I just did that very thing to someone on Friday. I had it, I was pushed to the end, I didn't know why I was being criticized, and I didn't burst into tears, but that person got a very long, wordy text. And then I blocked that person. Mary Ravioli has created a habit that I have in interacting in those types of conflict conversations. So my idea is I'd like you to consider, is this a habit that I've developed from long ago? What is my first story? What's my Mary Ravioli story? And is it serving me? And am I willing to consider just interrupting it? Idea 2. Our habitual living sometimes comes from defense mechanisms that we've created for ourselves. Consider that human beings are wired to always want to look good, and sometimes that means making other people look bad. We're wired to want to be right, which means sometimes we need to make other people wrong. We need to be justified, which means sometimes we need to invalidate someone else's position. Have you ever seen this play out in the workplace? Or in your romantic relationships or your friendships? I spent the first 5 to 10 years of my practice always trying to look good. I remember a coach telling me, "Fake it till you make it." And that really never resonated with me. My idea I'd like you to take away is am I trying to be right and make someone else wrong? Just kind of look for those little themes in your interactions with people. And consider, is it serving me? Or is that a habit I can interrupt and try something different? Third idea. The concept as it was presented to me was called integrity. But what I'd like to suggest to you is integrity is simply acknowledging that your word has power. So I just learned this concept 4 years ago after I had turned 40, so I'm definitely past the midpoint of life. And I realized that there is so much that I don't fully share with people. Like when people ask me, "How are you?" and I say, "Fine," even that sometimes is a total bald-faced lie. I also learned that guys, when they say, "What's up?" I actually interrogated a couple guys on this. They actually don't expect and maybe don't even want an answer. Like, "What's up?" is not a question. "What's up?" is just a statement. And then it's perfectly okay for you to say, what's up back, which is not a question, it's a statement. What's up? What's up? That's it. But what's up? There could be a lot going on there. That person might need to really unpack a ton of stuff if we're really being honest with ourselves. So my idea I'd like to share with you is being your word. And being your word is not just being your word and doing what you said you're going to do, although that's a huge thing. It's also, am I being my full self? Am I really saying all there is to say? And am I letting that person say all there is to say? And is it okay? And if you're ever just like going through life so fast that you don't have time to like really be authentic in your communications with people, ask yourself, is this serving me? Am I getting everything done that I can get done in this interaction or in this workplace or with my spouse or the dude who says, what's up? Integrity. The fourth idea I want to share with you is how many times have you been, the concept is what is so and what's the story I'm actually playing in my head about it. So if you ever have been sitting across the desk talking to your coworker and he's being annoying again, he hasn't done what he said he was going to do, or he's like telling that story that I've heard a million times, and you're just sitting there and you're just like, oh my gosh, he's telling that story again, or he's going to tell that story again. How much of that is actually really happening, and how much of it are you kind of like superimposing into the situation? What is so versus the story? Is this habit serving me, or is it holding me back? Number 5. We carry the past into our future. So, how many of you remember being in elementary school and the teacher asks a question and all the kids are raising their hands and she calls on you? Who's the first president of the United States? Oh, I know. Abraham Lincoln. And everybody breaks into laughter, and in that moment in time, you're just like, oh no, I'm never going to answer a question again, thank you very much. And you bring that habit into your living. How many of us have had more than a few dates, and then we go on date number 4, and we bring in date number 1 through 3 to that first date? Man, I've got a ton of dating fiascos. If I took that encyclopedia of dating fiascos into every date I went on, I just feel bad for the rest of the single men out there that I haven't dated yet. Because it's literally taking a bunch of garbage, picking it up, and superimposing it into your future. And that's what you're bringing to, it's an unfair proposition. And the 6th idea is choose. How many times are we going through life and we're not choosing our life? We're letting life happen to us. Are we floating down the Apple River in our inner tube and whatever comes our way, or are we making life serve us? Are we choosing our life? Have you been married for 20 years and all of a sudden you look at the person sleeping next to you and can you say, I choose this person despite the drooling and the bad breath? Can you say that every day? Choose your life instead of life choosing you. What I'd like to say in closing is habits serve a purpose. Habits are good. There's good habits and there are bad habits. All habits serve a purpose of some kind. Do we want to live our life and engage in the workplace and engage with people in our personal life as a habit? Do we want to have these ripcord reactions where we just keep kind of doing the same thing over and over and over again in our relationships or in our workplace? Are we just surviving life, or are we going to break the habit and just live life? Is life a habit? And I just have to tell you, 4 years ago I discovered life is not a habit, and that's where the good stuff is. That's where you get to actually really experience love and control over your life and making decisions and being respected and respecting others. And it's made a huge difference in my practice. I'm a happy lawyer. Do you know any happy lawyers? That's me, because I really started breaking the bad habits of life that I had built up for 4 decades. And in closing, if there is just even one idea that this short talk has inspired you to think about in terms of, am I living a habitual life or an alive life, then I will go to bed and sleep well tonight knowing that I did one good thing. So thank you for having me, and this is a beautiful space.